I'm not sure how prevalent it is nowadays, but not that long ago, linear seemed to be a bit of a dirty word in the greater video game discourse. It felt like so many people were fighting against this vague concept of linearity, although not everyone could agree on where to draw the line. Some people thought a little linearity was okay, as a treat, but some seemed to lean towards rejecting the concept altogether. Over time, I've come to appreciate the seemingly linear games that give players more freedom than they initially appear. I've also realized that even the more open-ended games tend to have some linear aspects if you're willing to look a little deeper. For some games, the trick is letting the player choose their own path and set their own goals. Minecraft is a great example of this. There is no single predefined start or end, but there are still clear-cut goals that you can strive to achieve. Your objective may be to survive as long as possible, or it may be to build a scale replica of Buckingham Palace. You may even choose to go through the in-game achievements list, a literal list of accomplishments with clearly defined endings. It's not linear in the way we typically think of linear games, but each of these goals has a definite end to it. The big difference is that you have immensely more freedom in how you accomplish them. I think that's the real crux of this debate. Freedom. Many players want to feel like they have the agency to do what they want, how they want, and games all have different ways of giving you that control. It's just up to you to decide how much of that freedom you're willing to give up in exchange for perhaps a more streamlined experience. Oh, let's look at Star Fox 64. This game is quite literally an on-rails shooter. Seriously, that's the genre. A game like this only gives you the freedom to move around on screen and choose which targets you want to shoot. Sounds pretty linear, right? Wrong. This game manages to give the player choices that substantially affect the outcome of the game. By shooting specific targets or flying through specific routes, you can move to different levels on either the medium or hard path, which you'd never be able to access if you were just flying from point A to point B. By completing all of the hidden objectives on the hard path, you can even unlock the true final boss fight, which then leads to the true ending of the game. The best part is that the game doesn't always explicitly state what conditions you need to meet to complete these objectives. It'll drop little hints,
Pretty smooth flying, Fox.
some more obvious than others,
Fox, you're supposed to shoot them all.
but it trusts the player to interpret what they mean. It makes you feel way cooler. Not only did you accomplish these missions, but you figured out how to do it using context clues. In contrast, it feels much more insulting when a game gives you the illusion of choice without giving you any meaningful control of the story's outcome. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing a modern game with multiple dialogue options, only to ask myself, did my choice in that conversation really matter? Sometimes the game will change up a character's immediate response based on what you choose, but the rest of the conversation will play out the same. And sometimes they don't even give you that much, and the response is just the same no matter what you choose. If you're going to railroad the player, at least be honest about it, am I right? That's the biggest sticking point for me. Dishonesty. I don't even mind a game being fully linear as long as I know that's the experience I'm getting. If I'm playing a beat-em-up, I know I'm being guided through the one and only path in the game, but I still enjoy it because of the moment-to-moment action. Then you look at 2D platformers, most of which are deceptively simple. A game like Sonic the Hedgehog may seem on the surface to be a plain left-to-right journey, but there are still decisions you can make along the way that will affect your experience. The game usually incentivizes exploration and careful platforming by giving you bonus items like ring boxes or shields, or even giving access to faster routes through the level. The classic Sonic games treated speed as a reward for skilled players, something that I feel was somewhat lost in the more recent boost formula games. Mario, on the other hand, seems to have taken things to the opposite extreme. Instead of simply awarding bonuses to explorative players, many of the 3D Mario games are completely built around the concept of exploring. You are expected, even required, to explore the levels if you hope to reach the ending. Even the first ever 3D Mario game, whose title I need not mention since everyone knows it better than their own name, cemented this idea by having the individual levels connected by a central hub, a hub that plays like a level in and of itself and has its fair share of secrets and puzzles. A level in which you can explore freely and decide where you want to go next. You have that freedom. There it is again. Freedom is such a nice word, isn't it? There is a certain degree of linearity within the missions of Super Mario 64, but most give you the freedom to complete them in different ways, or a completely different order. There's a clearly defined beginning and end to this entire game, but the steps you take to get there are not set in stone. You have 120 little journeys on which to embark, but no one breathing down your neck telling you which one to play next. You'll always start with Bob-omb Battlefield, and you'll always end with Bowser in the Sky. But the freedom of choice is one of those major factors that's attracted so many people to this game.
Hello? Yes? Yes? Yes. No, really? Well, the same to you, Mac.
Another confused census taker?
Actually, it was the commissioner with another idiotic and baffling assignment.
Does it involve wanton destruction?
We can only hope.
Sam & Max Hit the Road is one of my favorite adventure games of all time. It was released before I was even born, but that's never stopped me from appreciating Michael Jackson, Star Wars, or Doom. It's not any kind of complex or technically impressive masterpiece, but it sure is a great showing of comedy and storytelling. The game encourages the player to explore, much like many other examples we've looked at today, but there's something different. It's an adventure game. Adventure games are known for being linear. The whole appeal is that feeling of gathering pieces of a puzzle and putting them together. With every puzzle you encounter, you know there's only going to be one correct solution. So the challenge comes from figuring out how to attain that solution. Your reward for solving each puzzle, of course, is progressing further into the story, but there's more to it than that. You're also rewarded with the witty, comedic writing of Steve Purcell and LucasArts. The game even goes as far as to make fun of established tropes of adventure games and even just video games in general.
Hey, look! That's one long loose end.
Too bad we can't reach it from this side of the deck. You always need a large piece of string in games like this.
It parodies a lot of different facets of popular culture, but it's also not afraid to make fun of itself from time to time.
Hey, how will we get our car back?
Wait for it.
The interesting part, though, is that the game also incentivizes failure. The game often has some really funny dialogue hidden behind supposedly bad dialogue choices, or using items in the apparently wrong way.
I can't pick that up. No, really, I can't pick that up. Are you dense? I can't pick that up. Read my lips. I can't pick that up. I give up.
Now you've done it. You've broken Sam's spirit with your stupid attempts to pick up that silly object. In fact, if I didn't find his pitiful sobbing so amusing, I'd come out there and rip your limbs off. Just ignore them, Sam. Maybe they'll go away.
So, if you really want to experience everything the game has to offer, you have to try everything. There is only one correct solution, but there are many humorous, incorrect ones. These point-and-click adventures are not a massive pillar of the modern game industry, but they still have an active fan base. Sometimes people don't want to test their mechanical skills with a fast-paced platformer or a high-octane shooter. Every now and then, you just want to sit down and enjoy a good story, and maybe challenge your brain along the way. Just as seemingly non-linear games can have moments of linearity sprinkled in, some games appear totally linear and give you more freedom than you might think. A lot of the debate that I remember seeing in the late 2000s and early 2010s would look at these games on a purely surface level, which leads to a very limited understanding of how the games work. My intent with this video is really to encourage players to look a little deeper at the games they play, and try to understand why they like some games and don't like others. Maybe there's even a game that you tried before and decided you didn't like, that you can give a second chance now that some time has passed. Or maybe you still don't like the game, but you can better articulate why you don't like it. Or maybe you're just a fucking pro Tetris player and you haven't gleaned anything from this video because as soon as I brought up platformers, your eyes glazed over. Fuck you. Subscribe to my channel for more.